What's up, and War Eagle War Report family? You got Ike Jones here, and we are ready for the midweek report, talking a little bit more about the potential depth that Auburn has at wide receiver coming up this fall. We're going to dig into the newcomers that are coming and all the things that we expect from them. All that and more on this edition of the midweek report. War Eagle to all of y'all. Ike Jones, Mike G in here. The other guys taking the day off, the night off, but we are here to bring you guys the midweek report, brought to you by the good people over at the Rage Room. If you happen to be angry about the fact that Kendrick Lamar destroyed your favorite rapper this week, you could go to the Rage Room and get your frustrations out. If you happen to be angry that people keep telling you Kendrick Lamar destroys your favorite rapper and you think that's absolutely bogus, go to the Rage Room. You got two locations to service you here in the state of Alabama: Opelika on 1510 2nd Avenue and in Birmingham on 2616 7th Avenue South. Tell them the folks at the War Report sent you, and they'll give you free stuff to break. And you don't have to break your own stuff. That is a wonderful thing, not having to break your own stuff. If you are out here in our community, go ahead and do us a favor and share this content with somebody out there on social media, on their email, text message them and be like, bro, why are you not watching the show tonight? What's going on? I'll see you in the comment section. Do that right now so that they know what's up. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, then you're just already late on all the things that you need to be doing. Mike G is going to talk about all of the other things that you could do that may cost you a little bit of money, but it's absolutely worth it. Mike G, tell the people what's up.
It'll cost you a little bit, but you will gain your soul, Ike, if you subscribe as a patron member. Guys, we got some great content coming for you guys. Surprise interview on the mix this week. I'm going to save it as a surprise who it is, but we got a real good interview coming on this portion of the mix. Going to be too much for that content, so we'll also release a building rapport. Guys, stay tuned. Become a patron. You can help keep the work that we're doing here going by signing up for this membership. Hit that join button. You can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. You guys do this every single live stream. It's amazing. There's like gift of the War Report. Ike is doing lots of great stuff behind the paywall for you guys there. Check out the War Report Podcast Network, the Auburn Express Uptempo, and the College Loop, as well as Just a Sec, giving you guys a lot of great audio-only content. And last but certainly not least, our guys over at Manscaped. Call them what you want: knee knockers, golden nuggets, thigh slappers, etc. But our friends at Manscaped refer to them as the boys. Not every man has children, but every man has a pair down below. When your little guy, hopefully, when your little guys have more hair than they need, trust Manscaped for all your grooming dreams. Boys need love too. So join the 10 million men worldwide who trusted Manscaped by going to manscaped.com and using code REPORT for 20% off, plus free shipping. You heard it here first. The boys are back in town.
Yes, indeed. Everybody who is out here in our community, we thank you so much. Let's get over into the conversation. We are talking wide receiver in the wake of Coy Moore making the decision that we inevitably thought would happen, hitting the transfer portal. Auburn's wide receiver room is, as far as scholarship receivers, still looking strong, but a little light, right? Like, if we're going to be honest, still a little light. We're going to look at the totality of the room. But the question that we want to start off with is, we've got two more of the Freeze five. It's four, but we got to give love to our guy Dylan Gentry. The Freeze five are going to be, and the question is, do we think either of those guys potentially this fall will burn their red shirt? 4 games of live action burns the red shirt, or you have 4 free games, and if you get to that 5th one, then no more red shirt. Do you think either of them are going to have the opportunity to play enough snaps or enough games as true freshmen to get rid of that red shirt. Mike G, what say you?
Yes. I think the way this wide receiver, we got news today. Coy Moore hit the transfer portal. So we told you guys a couple of shows ago, like we told them to expect more transfers, that they were coming. Coy has hit the transfer portal, and that leaves Auburn with 9 scholarship receivers for the fall. Now, before we got busy recording, we kind of looked at the division of snaps, and we'll get into that later. But I think that there is close to 0 chance that Perry Thompson doesn't burn his red shirt. Now, why do I think that? Well, I mean, he's part of the freeze 5 or 4, 5 if you count Dylan. But for Cam and Perry, top 50 prospects, if you want to keep these guys in the fold, they have to have a clear path to playing time. They can't be worried about where it's coming from. They're not going to wait another 2 years to be the guys. You got to play them now. So regardless of whether Auburn needs them or not, they're going to play, right? They're going to play. Now, we talked about Cam on another episode, so I don't want to spend a lot of time on him, but obviously I think he'll be a starter at wideout, period. He's a guy who will go make plays. Perry arrives on campus here this month. Now, I was texting back and forth with Perry. He's excited to be here. He's excited to get to work. And you got to bring him along quickly. Physically, you and I kind of talked about it. Physically, before we saw Cam Coleman's spring transformation, Perry Thompson looked physically ready for the SEC. He's a big, strong guy that can move, and he's going to be very versatile. And if he proves to be a guy who can go up and get the football like Cam can, it's going to be really hard to keep him off the field because you've got a quarterback that's used to the Keon Coleman types that will just go up and get what they call the 80-20 balls, right? So, yeah, I think that there's absolutely 0 chance that Perry Thompson keeps his red shirt. Yeah, he's burning it. Just put it in the fire barrel, man, and light it on fire. Now, Malcolm Simmons is another story. Maybe this is a kid that you have time to bring along a little bit more slowly. Malcolm, again, we're going to look at the depth chart, but, I expect Auburn to play a ton of 12 personnel this year. I do, right? If you're watching, you know what 12 personnel is: 2 tight ends, 2 wideouts, and a running back. Right. There's no slot receiver on the field in 12 personnel. And I think that maybe Malcolm Simmons projects as a slot receiver. So, you've got Robert Lewis, who I expect, now that they've got Keandre Lambert-Smith, I expect to move inside. And I think that puts Robert Lewis in first position. I don't know. I think that you bring Malcolm Simmons on more slowly this year because you've got guys who can burn at the slot, and there may not be a ton of time there anyway. So we'll see how they decide to open it up this year. But I still think that this staff thinks that they're about a year away from doing the type of things on offense that they're going to want to do, which means not a ton of slot play.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the slot receiver position is crowded. That's really the more crowded spot on this team with guys that fit the mold of what Coach Hugh Freeze has been wanting his guys to do. There's a lot more guys who can do that from the slot position than there are guys that can do the outside receiver stuff. So they're going to have to do some maneuvering and moving people around to really get the best options out there at wide receiver. And then, like you said, it may be a situation where it's going to be more 12 personnel, so there's going to be less snaps available for wide receivers. It's going to be interesting to see how much 11 and 10 personnel actually get played coming up this fall, despite having a lot of talent in the wide receiver room.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, all good. So looking forward to seeing how that plays out. The only other thing that I would say, and, I agree with you about Perry Thompson. I think that he is going to play this fall. He's going to burn that red shirt. I mean, when you look at games where you're going to get guys action on the field, and this is all assuming people don't get hurt, right? Assuming there's no injuries and anything of that nature, but assuming none of that happens, when you look at kind of the nature of how things should be panning out with this offense, you hope that guys like Perry Thompson are going to be available to play because of what you talked about with the quarterback situation. Regardless of who the quarterback is, I think it's a luxury to have Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson as 2 guys that you're going to be throwing the football to. And anybody who would be a quarterback would be glad to be able to say that. Malcolm Simmons is going to be a guy who's got speed, but I think that there are other options to be able to play speed guys. Now, the question is, will he be able to get on the field in a special teams capacity? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't
We'll
know.
see.
Last year, kick return duties were being handled by Brian
Batty.
Batty and Sean Jackson.
They had Damari back there on some kickoff returns.
Not very often. It was mostly Sean Jackson as the other guy back there. And so I don't know that that's going to change a lot, just because I think that you want Sean Jackson in there to be able to be a blocker for you in those situations. If Malcolm Simmons is going to be a good block, I mean, that's actually another place where you could put Perry Thompson out there, is have him returning kicks and be a big guy out there moving people out of the way. So I don't know. I think that Malcolm Simmons has a tougher path to get on the field more consistently, barring injuries. So I tend to agree with you. Of the two, more likely Perry Thompson. Malcolm Simmons, I think it's more of a 50-50 proposition for him to be able to burn that red shirt this season, but doesn't speak to the talent of that young man. It speaks to the number of guys that are in front, because you got to think about it. Do we want to pull up the graphic and look at this?
Yeah, why not? Let's take a look at it.
When you think about kind of what the potential spot for some of these folks are, you look at projection for potential starters, and this is kind of how we see it potentially working out as far as where guys are slated to be on the field coming up this season. You know, the wide receiver 1 position and the wide receiver 2 position are those outside receivers that you expect to get the lion's share of duty, because you're going to be in 12 personnel. Those 2 guys are always going to be on the field. Those 2 spots are going to be on the field. That wide receiver 3 is your more commonly used slot. And then if you go to a 4 receiver set, you'll get that wide receiver 4 out there. Right now, Keandre Lambert-Smith is projecting as the 1. This, in my opinion, is about experience, not about talent or anything like that.
Yeah,
I think Keandre Lambert-Smith is the most experienced guy in this room. Like, Robert Lewis is the only person I think might have rival him in experience, but he fits the mold of what needs to happen for that outside receiver and can help bring along some of those younger guys. And you can really interchange the names behind wide receiver 1 and 2. I don't care whether you put Cam Brown or Perry Thompson right there as behind, as a second layer behind wide receiver 1 behind Keandre Lambert-Smith. But Cam Coleman's going to be the guy opposite of him, in my opinion. And that is including the fact that I feel like Cam Brown had an amazing spring. I just think that Cam Coleman is just a absolutely different beast of a player, and he's going to get the opportunity to be that first receiver that trots out there on the field before Cam Brown by the time fall is done. I think if they were to play a game today, Camden Brown might get an opportunity to play, but I think by the time fall comes around, Cam Coleman will be that guy opposite of Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yeah, we're looking at this is a 10 personnel setup, right? So, we got to use this for, demonstration purposes about where we feel like guys slot in. Robert Lewis worked a lot at wideout this spring, but I don't think he stays there. Now, they love his ability. They do. But I think you move him to the slot. You did not convince Penn State's leading receiver to come here to battle it out for a wideout spot.
Right.
Yeah, just flat out. Just don't put it that way. So there's absolutely no chance that anybody starts in front of this kid at one of the wideout spots. Keandre Lambert-Smith is your guy out wide. He was Penn State's leading receiver, 700 yards, almost double what any receiver here did last year. And you got to get him on the field. So if you're running 12 personnel and there are two tight ends here in place of wide receiver 3 and 4, Coleman and Lambert-Smith are your guys on the field. They are. Now, the tight end, like Rivaldo Fairweather was, I guess technically the leading pass catcher. I'm not saying I got to use the right terms here, right? He was the leading pass catcher last year. So when you look at targets last year, he had 53 targets, which led all tight ends and all receivers. Right. And he had 393 yards, which led all tight ends and receivers. And he had 6 touchdowns, which led all tight ends and receivers. So you've got to have a tight end, Ike, that's at least a threat to catch the ball. to run 12 personnel and it actually work.
Correct.
Now, on the other side, I think Brendan Fraser right now, I would have him as the second tight end on the field. And look, man, I mean, he did okay last year, I guess. Look, Fraser had 8 targets, 7 catches. He caught 7 of them for 73 yards. So, if Auburn's going to throw the ball, I think that they would have to run at the very least some 11 to improve these stats a little bit. Right. 10, I don't see. Honestly, yeah, 10 out. Running 10 personnel is about your.
How do you take Fairweather off the field? That's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't.
You can't do it.
He's going to be one of your top 4 pass catching targets out there, regardless of what wide receivers you have on this roster. You're not taking him off of the field for any significant amount of time.
Yeah, and 10 personnel is what you run when your quarterback is a true gunslinger that you trust to throw the football.
I mean, even if you trust him to throw the football, you just split Fairweather out and make him the 4th receiver out there. Like, I just don't know that. And this is, again, we start saying these things and it sounds like disrespect. This is not me disrespecting any of the guys that are in that wide receiver 4 spot, right?
Yeah.
But which of those guys would you rather have out there than Rivaldo Fairweather?
For Fairweather, yeah. Burton, Kane, I just don't see it.
I mean, really, even the guys that are backing up at the wide receiver 3 spot, like, which of those guys would you rather have out there than Fairweather? Would you have, if I'm giving you the choice of in your slot, you get Robert Lewis or Rivaldo Fairweather, which of those guys do you take?
Yeah, I'm taking Fairweather.
Sam Jackson or Rivaldo Fairweather?
I'm taking Fairweather. I'm taking Fairweather.
Right. I can keep going down list of names. I'm taking Fairweather over any of those guys as my potential slot guy if we're going to throw the ball. And even if whether it's in 11 or 12 personnel, I'm good because Fairweather's my 3rd receiver out there if we're 12.
Yeah, the only potential that I see for maybe some change here in terms of how we have these guys slotted, right, is maybe depending on how much they like Cam Brown. And we've been told he made a lot of improvement this year. Mm-hmm. But if for some reason he fell down the list, then maybe you put Robert Lewis behind Cam or, Lambert Smith because he worked so much at wideout this spring. Maybe, right? If you're going to strictly run 12 personnel.
Honestly, the thing that I could see happening is that you have Keandre Lambert Smith slide over and be your slot receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And you play a combination of Cam Coleman / Perry Thompson, Cam Brown on the other side. And Robert Smith is the guy who gets dropped down in the pecking order on this. And you'd have Fairweather with Lambert Smith on the other side. And then you'd have Cam Coleman and then Cam Brown or Perry Thompson opposite. I could see that being a scenario where if you want to put your best 4 pass catching targets out there on the field on a play, you put Cam Coleman, Keandre Lambert Smith in the slot, Rivaldo Fairweather at the tight end, and then pick your poison of Perry Thompson and Cam Brown. And those are your 4 pass catchers for that given play. You could go to a 5 wideout personnel, right? Like you could pull the running back off the field and then go throw Robert Lewis out there as well. But if you're going to go with the 4 best pass catching targets, I think that's the likely scenario.
Yeah. Payne Thorne, we say this every live stream, it feels like now. I mean, he was bottom of the league in pass attempts. I expect that to go up this year significantly. So if that's going to go up, that's going to be about having the guys on the field that you feel most comfortable being able to go out there and make a play for their quarterback.
Yeah.
So we know that's Cam Coleman. We assume that's Keandre Lambert Smith. And then beyond that, you've got Rivaldo Fairweather, who you're going to absolutely get on the field. And, when those guys need a spell, who comes in the game next? Well, that's what we're showing people here.
Right.
Right. In 10 personnel, I think that Sam Jackson and Malcolm Simmons, they slide a little bit further down. It's going to be harder for these guys to see the field because hear me out on this. I mean, if they're not going to be in this much, but when they do go to this, I can't imagine that Sam Jackson would be the first slot receiver out.
No,
not right now. Not right now. Not over Robert Lewis and the other guys who have way more experience playing receiver at the Power 5 level.
Yeah.
So, or at all. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Hugh Freeze does in terms of how he runs this, Ike. You know, yeah, you run 12, you protect your quarterback, you give him easy throws. You run 10, you're letting it fly. And I just I can't imagine seeing that a ton this year, but we'll see. Now, a lot of this will depend on how the offensive line holds up as well, too.
Right.
You know, hard to max protect in 10, right? In 12, you can maybe hold your tight ends in a little bit, for some extra blocking. They should be better blockers than some wide receivers would be. And we'll see how it goes here. But like, listen, Cam's going to see the field. He's going to be an absolute monster. There is no other choice. He has to go. You know what I mean? He's got to be a star. Hugh Freeze is going to make sure that happens. And then, if Keandre Lambert-Smith just does at Auburn what he did at Penn State, he should be pretty good. Right? Like, I mean, it wasn't all world. But if he can bring that production to the Plains, it should be, a pretty good situation for them. Now, if you look at Lambert-Smith from last year, right, like, and what he did, and I'm looking at receiving here, guys.
I've got it up on the screen for you.
Oh, you do? Boop. Okay, yep. There you go. We did that. I forgot that was in there. So, 85 targets. 85 targets. Auburn's most targeted wide receiver had 45 targets last year.
Right.
So, for Lambert-Smith, you got to throw the ball more. I don't know how else to put this, but you got to throw the ball way more than you did last year, because he had nearly double the targets that your leading receiver last year got. And nobody got more targets than Jay Fair, and he sat over pretty much the back half of last season while they ran a bunch of 12 personnel. So your slot guy was the most targeted guy last year. If you trust your outside guys a little more, maybe you throw the ball outside a little bit more. But, to reach a 600 yardage total, almost 700 yards, you've got to throw the ball significantly more at those wideouts. Now, if nobody else is going to be a threat to catch the ball, like, again, your tight ends have to be a threat. Maybe you're, dumping it off to the running backs out of the backfield. The play calling is going to be interesting here to see if you can stop teams from saying, we're going to stop Cam Coleman, we're going to stop Keandre Lambert-Smith, and we're going to make everybody else beat us. Who beats you then? Well, if your quarterback's on point, maybe Rivaldo Fairweather should tear you up.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to eat here. It should be Keandre Lambert-Smith. Cam Coleman's not going to sneak up on anybody this year, guys.
Yeah.
They're going to be ready for Cam Coleman in 2024. So this is where monsters step up and be monsters, Ike. Right? I'm coming, and you still can't stop me.
Yeah.
That's got to be Cam Coleman, because it's 80-20 every time the ball's 3 yards near me. Now, Keandre Lambert-Smith, he said to be reliable. He just has to be reliable. Go out there, catch the ones you're supposed to catch, run crisp routes,
which he does well.
Create separation. They comply. They complained about that all year last year. Our guys don't create separation.
Right.
Well, he had no problem at Penn State. So I don't want to hear that this year. The guys aren't creating separation. That can't be the line every year. Right? And then the quarterback just has to be reasonably accurate so these guys can go out and make plays for him. All those things come together. Cam Coleman, Keandre Lambert-Smith, man, put on a show this year. At least by Auburn standards.
Yeah.
Don't throw the ball a lot. So those 266 pass attempts, they got to go way up. I mean, I would argue, Ike, that Thorne needs to be plus 350, which sounds crazy, because that's going to be about 100 more pass attempts. You're going to throw the ball 33% more.
That's converting on more first downs, so you have longer drives. That's really all that amounts to.
That's exactly what that amounts to, right? And if these other guys are going to get on the field, they're just going to have to perform when their time comes.
Right.
I don't see a ton of 10 personnel, but I could see them running some 11 if the outside guys are killing it, and you've got a slot receiver you like to go out there and make plays.
Which they've got options to do that. Like there's plenty of options to be able to go out there on the field and make plays with this group.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it because I think it has the chance. After talking to Peyton Thorne, he almost had me believe it, Ike. Listen, I don't know. Peyton could be a salesman because he had me like, okay, I can see how this is going to be different next year. If you get certain things, I don't want to say fixed, but improved.
Right.
So can they improve enough to give these guys a chance to make plays? Yes, I think they can. And the bar is on the absolute floor. The bar is below the floor. That. Right.
There's definitely, I mean, listen, this was the lowest rated wide receiver core in the conference last season. So there's only one direction to go. there's no other way to go. Like either you maintain your spot in dead last or you improve, right? And it's a completely different core. And hopefully all of the changes will allow the improvement to happen. But then again, that's where you have to have your quarterback step up and make the throws, make the decisions that allow you to stay on the field longer so that guys are getting more opportunities at more just more targets to be able to go out there and make the catches. Like just give them more chances is all we're asking.
Yeah, that's it. That's what they need. That's what everybody needed, volume last year. But if you're being honest, they didn't trust the play calling. They didn't trust the quarterback last year. They didn't trust the pass catchers.
Right.
So they took the air out of the football to the tune of a 61-39% run to pass ratio. That's way too lopsided. You need to take 5 to 6% of that and move it on over to the pass game in 2024 because you've got receivers that you have to sell on coming back next season.
Right. And you have to figure out how to continue to recruit because, listen, Robert Smith's not going to be there next year. Robert Lewis is not going to be there next year for you to be able to do that. And some of those guys that got buried on your depth chart may feel the same way. Keandre Lambert-Smith is done after this season, right? So you've got two guys aren't coming back that could play significant snaps. How do you sell the guys who barely played snaps this year that they're still okay while still getting some high-level recruits to come in without over-promising them playing time? So that's going to be the difficult thing for this staff to figure out in the next 12 months is produce on the field, keep the guys who are here happy while still being able to make promises you can keep to guys that are going to be coming in the next class. Going to be difficult, but that's the job of every head coach that has to manage a very good roster.
Yeah. Listen, you said something real about recruiting. You got to continue to recruit. And so you got to show, got to have proof of concepts, right? You have to have proof of concept. I know we're talking about Auburn here, but if you missed the news, Jay Fair is on his way to USC right now.
Right.
If he's not there already. They gave him probably it was an impressive presentation, but most of all, Lincoln Riley was able to sit down and say, we ran almost 500 plays in 10 personnel last year. So if you're worried about not getting on the field, it's not going to happen here. Our top 2 pass catchers left, one in the first round of the NFL draft. I got a freshman coming back, and you're going to be the most experienced receiver in the room. And 10 personnel with only one receiver over 6'3", over 6 foot in that room. Yeah, and I had and my quarterbacks are winning the Heisman every other year.
Right.
So, proof of concept matters. And it's easy to be able to sit down with a kid when you have that to show them and sell them on coming to your program. Hugh Freeze has got to start to create a catalog of that next year.
At Auburn, right? He has it from his previous stops, but Auburn has yet to really be able to prove that. And Coach Hugh Freeze last year, unfortunately, continued that narrative for another season. So we've got to change trajectory pretty quickly if we're going to keep getting Freeze 4s popping up as the potential recruiting classes.
Yeah. Listen, look for my guy Dylan at the slot, baby. Y'all don't count out Dylan.
Didn't put Dylan up there, but he could have been right there at wide receiver 4.
Give him a scholarship.
All right, we are going to get back and talk a little bit more about this, more about the potential depth chart, more about who could burn that red shirt. But until then, we got to pay a couple of bills. We will be back here listening to the Midweek Rapport.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors.
the Opelika Rage Room in Opelika, Alabama. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Call or text 334-777-6688 to set up a session today, or check them out online at opelikaRageRoom.com. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
Guys, become a patron. $5.99 a month will get you there. This is a great way to support the work that we're doing. The mix, like on Friday, is going to be extra lit. So if you don't know, we're releasing those Friday evening. We're letting you get home from work, settled in, and then we're going to hit you with a bomb interview, surprise interview this week. Lots of good stuff going to come from that, so you don't want to miss that. Help us continue to do that by signing up as a patron member. Again, Auburn Dad, see you with the 5 gifted memberships. Guys, hit that gifted membership button and give the gift of the War Report. Ike is doing lots of great behind the paywall content for you guys, as well as some exclusive live stream chats that are for members only. Some things are family only. Get in on the family by giving a gifted membership so we can help grow that community. Check us out on podcasts, every single podcast platform, the Auburn Express, Uptempo, the College Loop, and Just a Sec. Bringing you lots of great audio-only content. As always, want to thank show sponsor, The Rage Room. Look, there might be lots to be mad about this fall. And basketball, I assume, is going to be no less frustrating. Visit the Opelika Rage Room at 1510 2nd Avenue in Opelika, Alabama. Or if you're in Birmingham, 2616 7th Ave, South downtown Birmingham. They're doing great work for the community, allowing you to get your stress out. Last but certainly not least, show sponsor BetUS, 24-hour issue payouts, 125% sign-up bonus, and 24-hour customer service to boot to help you get all your betting needs taken care of. Guys, nothing I love more than a good baseball parlay. It is baseball season, and there are 162 of them games for you to bet on at bet.us. Go check them out. Let them know the War Report sent you. Is there a code for BetUS?
It's just a link.
It's a link. Yeah, the link is in the description. So hit that link. They'll know you came from us. Help them continue on as a sponsor of the War Report.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's get back over into this conversation about the wide receiver room, because there is so much to talk about here.
Can we get to some of these comments first?
Yeah. We're definitely going to go do the comments. You guys have been great at getting comments in here. Auburn Dad has been great by gifting memberships out there. So 5 people got memberships courtesy of Auburn Dad. Thanks so much for that. We'll start it off with our super chats as always. Otis Smith jumps in and says we have 4 games to get our young guys introduced to college football before the meat of the schedule. We will be fine.
I agree.
Damn Eagle.
I agree, Oda. I think now you start off Alabama A&M. Mm-hmm. You got Cal, who is, I think they're like a power 4 1B team now. I don't know, where did Cal end up in the conference realignment?
I think they're the ACC, maybe, or Big Ten, one of them. I can't remember.
Yeah. Then you have New Mexico, dropped the state off this year, just New Mexico, and Arkansas, which is pretty close to a cupcake as you're going to get in SEC play next year. So you get those guys ready for the fall, and that way you know if they're going to be in position, I think, to maybe have to burn their red shirt, but with a little bit more confidence. So get your receivers time, and also I would say get your backup quarterback some time during these games too. If things are going according to script, Holden Geriner or Hank Brown need to be playing significant time to get ready in case of injury or play. So, I like the first 4 games of this schedule. This sets up for Auburn to potentially start 4-0 going into Oklahoma. And if you somehow win that game, they've got some things they got to deal with there at Oklahoma. You're 5-0 going into Georgia. What a great start to the season for Hugh Freeze. It puts the pressure on that back half.
Right.
Because you won 6 games last year. You win the first 5 and finish at 6 again. The back half of your season went wrong.
Yeah, that's gonna feel very rough.
It's gonna be rough. So, look, that's you guys have heard us talk about that stretch from Georgia, to Kentucky, right? You got Georgia on the road. You got Oklahoma at home, Georgia on the road, and then you have a bye week, I believe.
Yeah.
And then you've got Missouri and Kentucky. But Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky are all road games. So they're just going to be traveling around the Southeast during that October stretch that I think defines the season. Go 2-2, and you're going to have a great year this year. 2-2 during that stretch,
definitely needs to happen in order for you to really be able to improve where you can see the projection of that season going. Another super chat from Oda who says, am I crazy for having 2017 vibes?
Yes. Yeah, Jared Stidham in 2017. You're crazy. The best pure pass. Maybe I don't know. Brandon Cox was a pretty good passer as well.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Another one from Oda Smith who says the real thing is that there is not a better wide receiver room in the nation than ours. I would even say our linebacker room as well. Oda's saying we got the best wide receiver core in the country.
Hey, he's booging. He's booging. He's booging today. I feel it. I ain't gonna rain on your parade.
Let's see here. Another super chat here from Corey saying that he sees Courtney Taylor in Malcolm Simmons. Convince me I'm wrong.
Courtney Taylor, that's not a bad comparison. And I'll tell you what, he held the Auburn record for receptions until I think Ryan Davis broke it.
Correct.
So, look, Courtney, and he got way less opportunities to catch the ball than Ryan Davis got.
Facts.
So, Courtney, I don't know, like I said, Auburn guys don't really shade other Auburn guys, but Courtney came out and said, look, man, I wasn't out there catching dink and dunks. I was running real routes.
Yeah.
So, will there be some real routes to run and more opportunities for Malcolm Simmons? Maybe. Not this year, but if things go as planned, there should be upwards of 400-plus attempts coming out of that quarterback backfield for these guys to catch.
I don't see the comparison between the two, honestly. Like I think that
Courtney was
Simmons,
a big receiver.
Yeah,
he was a big receiver.
Courtney's like 6'3", and Malcolm Simmons is, I don't think he's even 6 feet tall. So Malcolm Simmons wins a little bit more with speed. Courtney was more of a body catcher, like position receiver.
He knew how to use his body really well.
Yeah, so yeah. I don't see the comparison of those two guys necessarily, not in the way that they play. But if he gives that kind of contribution, then I think Auburn fans will be very happy to see that.
Hell, if you ask Courtney, there's no comparison to anybody ever in Auburn history because he was the best to do it.
Yeah, listen,
he's Courtney.
He has an argument though for that being the case. I wouldn't say he's the best in my book, but he has an argument for one of the best to ever be an Auburn wide receiver.
I think Courtney's a top 5 Auburn receiver.
I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. Yeah. But again, we're talking about Auburn wide receivers here, right? So it's not as if
Far as well.
Another super chat from Otis Smith who jumps in and says we have to split Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, UK, A&M. And the Gumps at 3-3, no worse than 3-3. I'm saying 4-2.
Let's stick here for a second. Your best shots at win here are Oklahoma, Kentucky, and A&M.
Okay,
those are the ones you got to get. Missouri and Georgia, those are going to be hard. Missouri's trending up right now.
Yeah, Missouri, Georgia, and Bama on the road will all be difficult games.
Yeah. Brady Cook will be one of the best QBs in the country next year, flat out, throwing to one of the best returning receivers in the country and Luther Burden. So that pass game is going to go. I like what Eli Drinkwitz is doing there, and that game's on the road. It's in Columbia. Now, if you watch the mix, they're only 1-3 versus Auburn in the history of this, and their last win, the last time Missouri beat Auburn, gas was 39 cents a gallon, people. 39 cents a gallon. I think like the Watergate scandal was happening. Like the Supreme Court was deciding on Roe v. Wade. It's been a long time since Missouri's beat Auburn. And in that last win Auburn had, they obviously fumbled the game back to them. But I think it's going to be really difficult to go out and get that win right now on the road. I'm waiting on Caleb DeBoer's Alabama. I'm not sure anybody's scared of them.
They're a wild card out there just because you have no idea what team's gonna like. It's gonna be talented because they lost some guys, they lost a lot of depth, more than they lost like the top end. I mean, they lost some of the top guys on their team as well from either the draft or transfer portal. But that team is just, I mean, you don't know what to expect because they brought talent in as well. So, like, I don't really know what to think of that team right now until I see them out there on the field. Are they going to be able to repeat the escalation that you saw last season with the quarterback position, considering they have a completely different offense now, right? Like, or are they resetting the clock on the development that you had at the quarterback position last season by changing what you're asking him to do? Because that Washington offense looked nothing like the Bama offense that they ran at the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, the easy explanation here, Ike, is that they're going to fall apart at the seams from game one, and they're going to keep falling apart until the Gumps are in complete and utter disarray. That's the only situation I'm willing to accept.
I mean, I'm definitely
I
on
accept
board
nothing
with
else.
that. Yeah, definitely on board with that right there. Let's see here. B. Will's forehead jumps in and says, "Dude from Locked On Penn State is so hurt by Keandre Lambert-Smith transferring. He told Blackerby that he wasn't even that good." Shaking.
I haven't seen this, but I heard talk of this episode.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. But I've talked to a lot of people who cover Penn State in the last week since he committed to Auburn. I've had probably 4 separate conversations with people who cover Penn State and or are Penn State fans about Keandre Lambert-Smith. And I did a little something on the morning drop about this yesterday morning, so you can go watch a little bit of me talking about this, but continue with what you were going to say.
Our guy T. Frank Carr over on 3.
He's one of them I talked to.
Yeah, like he had a lot of nice things to say about Keandre.
It wasn't about his play, though. Right?
Yeah, it wasn't about his play.
He never had anything negative to say about Keandre Lambert-Smith's ability to play football. And that's the thing. I didn't watch the Locked On episode, but nobody that I've talked to has ever said Keandre Lambert-Smith isn't a good football player.
Yeah. Like I'm not hearing that, but like I said, he'll come in and he'll get in line with the culture. He'll get out. So we'll leave it there.
Let's see here. Next up, we've got super chat from Auburn Dad just came in. Mike, do the Gumps have enough players left? Are they going to be able to field a team? Is what he's asking.
No. Dude, I'm telling you, it's falling apart. They're all planning their resignations right before the start of fall camp. A bunch of them are going to say, we're boycotting the season, and we're getting into the portal after, but we'll watch from the sidelines as things go to hell.
I wish Curtis Perry had made his decision to enter the transfer portal earlier, because I think he would have been a guy that would have come over to Auburn. But now that you can transfer multiple times, he can just go play at some whatever school and then come back to Auburn later. Exclusive TV says, I see us winning at least 9 games. At least. He says the floor is 9.
Yeah, bro, chill. Chill out. Chill out. Go to Bet US right now and put some money on it. Tell them the workforce.
They don't have the futures up on Bet US yet.
They're coming. They're coming. Yeah, but you go put some money on that and then come back and talk to me.
All right, a couple more here, and then we're going to move on with the conversation. Corey Weber says Perry Thompson will absolutely contribute this year, barring injury. Not sure about Simmons. That's fair.
Yep.
Eugenia says might go with Micah at tight end 2 in 12 personnel.
Damn it!
I think this would be a good decision.
Love that. Yeah. I would think it would. I mean, he's the best blocker in that room, certainly. So if you're not going to throw passes to that tight end 2, you might as well put somebody in there that can block at a high level. Right. And I love Luke, man, but it's not him. And it's Brendan takes plays off, and Mike is going to go in there and block his butt off. So to me, it seems like they may be deferring to experience in that room, but I don't think there are 2 other tight ends better than Michael Riley right now.
Yeah. Greg Wheatley says, Ike, do you think our O-line can protect well enough to have an empty backfield? Here's what I'll say about that. I think that if you're going empty, there are one of 2 scenarios happening. You are either trying to play a get the ball out quick thing, so it's not going to be about how long you can protect, or you are in a scenario where you have to throw the football. I don't think we're going to go empty very often. I don't think that benefits Peyton Thorne very much. And teams will absolutely blitz if you're going to go empty. So I don't see it happening often enough for this to be a thing. And again, if you are doing it, it's going to be out of necessity, not out of that's part of what our offense is built to do. Again, I think you're going to see 2 tight ends on the field more often than you will see 5 receivers. Another one from Greg who says, Ike, do they use the cupcake games to try to get the pass game going or try to hold some back for the meat of the schedule? I would like to see them throw it in the earlier games to try to get it going. I think it just depends on your level of confidence with being able to hold that back, right? Like, do you want to showcase it earlier so that when you get into the meat of your schedule, teams have to play you more honestly, right? Or do you want to hold it back and say, all right, well, we're going to be a run team and be like, haha, surprise, gotcha. We can actually throw the ball too. Like, I don't know that you're going to be able to do that. I just haven't seen Auburn throw the ball enough to think that that's a sound strategy to say we're just going to run over teams. And then when we get to our tough competition, we're going to unveil our shiny toy that is the new passing offense. You need to get those reps out there early.
Yep.
This is an interesting question. C. Harbin asks, are we okay with beating Georgia if it means we lose the next 2?
100%. But if for no other reason to see Georgia fans absolutely lose their shit. Like, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be in Athens, guys. They will burn Sanford Stadium to the ground.
Yeah.
They will not accept a loss to this Auburn team. They just won't do it.
We get press passes to that game. I pay to see that.
Yeah, I will come join you, sir. I'll be there. I just think that's going to be to end that losing streak would be amazing. But if you're good enough to beat Georgia, it means you probably won the 5 previous games. So that would be your 6th win.
Yeah.
And to start 6-0 and then, be 6-2 coming out of that October stretch, I'd accept that. You're going to lose some
because
games.
You're going to win one more game because you have one more cupcake. So if like you said, the likely scenario, if you're good enough to beat Georgia, is that you are in, like, at worst you're 5-2, right? You had a slip up against Oklahoma at home, but you're 5-2 with another should be. I'm not, again, we saw what happened with New Mexico State last year, but should have another cupcake win on the back half of your schedule, and then you still have Vanderbilt on that schedule as well that you should be able to beat at home. You likely surpass last year's win total if you are beating Georgia, and you have an opportunity to win 8 games in that season because you still have some other games that are winnable on your schedule later. I absolutely would take that as a lead into that season.
Acceptable. C. Harbin.
Oda, another super chat, says the Oklahoma game will be make or break of the season.
Man, I don't know about that. I think that it sets a good tone for the start of that stretch that you have to play, certainly, but it's the only home game in that stretch, right? So you got Oklahoma at home, and then you got to go on the road for a month. So, yeah, I don't know about make or break, but, yeah, it wouldn't hurt to win it. Like, you should win the first 4. I'll give you this, Oda. If you lose to Cal, Oklahoma is absolutely make or break. If you lose one of the first 4, Oklahoma will be a make or break game. It will, because I'm telling you, I mean, can you imagine going over in that October stretch?
Right.
You lose Oklahoma, that's certainly possible. So you got to follow it with Georgia. I think they have a bye week between Georgia and Missouri. Right. So, as a matter of fact, I think they had 2 bye weeks this year. Isn't this the double bye?
I believe
era? So. Yeah, 2 bye weeks. So yeah, I don't, like I said, you get a bye week to reset from Missouri, but the game's still on the road. Man. Okay, Oda, you threw me for a loop with this one.
He has another one here, and he says, "Oh, and the QB at Vandy, we all know who he is. He will pay and will atone for what he did."
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, Auburn's got it, and Jerry Kill is like an analyst or something for that Vanderbilt team now. So, like, that is double. We need some get back against Vanderbilt for that. For anyone who was on the Auburn team last year, they need to be feeling like we need redemption. Even though I know you're wearing a different jersey, but you're the same guy that was in that New Mexico State jersey roasting us last year. Can't let them get you back-to-back seasons. All right, let's move on with the conversation here, and then we'll get out of here really shortly. The only other thing that we wanted to ask a question about tonight is how soon? How soon can each of these guys, if it, we're saying the likely scenario is Perry Thompson as the starter. How soon do you think he sees as a burning his red shirt? How soon do you think it will be that he could actually start at a wide receiver position for Auburn?
Yeah, I think by Georgia, you'll know what you have. Right. And let's pull up the depth chart here. Or not the depth chart, I'm sorry. The right, like the wide receiver room.
Gotcha.
Right. So these are all your scholarship wide receivers for 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And Perry and Malcolm, they come this summer. So when you look at the rest of the guys in this room, and I'm going to go down the list, Robert Lewis, new guy, but I think that he's proven his value here in the spring, or potential value.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so he's going to play. Keandre Lambert-Smith, an experienced guy you brought in. So, again, his value is there. Caleb Burton, experience, catching real passes in the SEC. What he did in the bowl game is what they're going to expect out of him. Just be a reliable pass catcher. Bryce Cain made the spring. So, and I still think he's light years away from the field right now, because Freeze wants to give his guys time to get acclimated to the college level. Sam Jackson, I think that he's in the 2 slot at the slot if you're running 11 personnel. So, he'll get some time if he's spelling Lewis, but we'll see how they decide to run that. And then you've got Cam Brown and Cam Coleman. The Cams are going to play. But as far as Perry Thompson is concerned, I think realistically, Ike, he's the one that has the best chance to start.
Right.
At some point this season. In a scenario where he starts, I honestly think somebody gets hurt. And we don't wish for that. But, I can't see in year one as a freshman. I mean, he's absolutely going to have to just beast it to overtake Keandre and Cam to get into a starting slot at wideout. Absolutely. Malcolm, love his talent, but I just don't see it for him this year at all. I think you bring him along, you get him acclimated, you figure out, what weight and what size you want him at, and, you get him in a nutrition program, you get him in the weight room, and you unleash the 4 of your Freeze 4 in 2025. But in 2024, it's going to be about Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson. These were top 30 prospects. Cam Coleman was the number 5 overall recruit in the country. Perry Thompson, again, he was the first of the receivers to commit, and he was a flip, I think. Or was Malcolm Simmons before him?
Oh, I think they committed the same
time, the same weekend. Yeah. Okay, so look, man, but Perry, he started this thing, man. He committed to your program while simultaneously decommitting from the bad guys up the road. He's going to have a chance. They're going to give him a shot to do this. And if he can, and if the first 3 games go the way you plan, you should see plenty Perry Thompson.
Yeah.
Hear me out. If the first 3 games go the way you plan, blowout, solid win, blowout. If those games are close going into the 3rd quarter, we're not seeing Perry Thompson, buckle up for the rest of the season. But against A&M and against New Mexico, you should see plenty of Perry Thompson. So I think he'll have a chance to show it. And Freeze is going to look, man. I think that as a coach, he has shown that he is 100% committed to playing this class that he went out and recruited, his marquee class so far. It might be hard for him to outdo this class next year. 6 top 100
he's gonna. I mean, I don't think he's gonna go as heavy on wide receiver, but he's gonna have to concentrate on
linemen.
The trenches are going to have to be the absolute focus in this next class.
Yeah, go out and get some 5-star linemen in the next class. As far as skill positions are concerned, you're talking about the core of your team for the next 3 years. So you got to play him now because the portal and unlimited transfers and a whole ton of NIL money has made the re-recruitment process a lot harder. You need proof of concept. You have to get them on the field. Now, I love Malcolm, but a top 150 guy versus a top 30 guy, the top 30 guy is going to play. You spent the whole season last year telling Auburn fans you didn't have talent. So you recruited these guys, they're going to play. That's the only answer. It's the only logical answer to this. Perry Thompson is going to get a shot at some point to prove that he can be the guy, or at the very least, he'll be on everybody's butt, ready to take over if they don't play well. You know, kind of like in the bowl game where like Freeze went to Holden, you know, Holden had a moment and then he was like, F it, I'm putting Hank Brown in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're not playing well this year, he's got to get it done. He understands another 6-win season, another 500 season, that's not going to fly.
Right.
You got to win at least one more. And if he feels like it's close and that might not happen, he's putting Perry Thompson in if you're not playing well. Freeze wants guys who can go out and make plays for Peyton Thorne next year.
Right.
Make plays for Peyton Thorne. Peyton Thorne said Keon Coleman was an 80-20 guy. Is Perry Thompson an 80-20 guy? If he is, he's going to see the field. If you're 50-50 and Perry is, 80-20, he'll have a chance before the end of the season to steal that other starting slot. And then Freeze will have the cachet to come back and say, hey, look, I told y'all to give me time to recruit. I'll get the recruiting right, and I'll give you more Perry Thompsons if you just give me more time. So some of this is about winning games and it's about setting yourself up for the future.
Right.
And to do that, you got to hold on to the recruits that you recruit.
Right.
By playing them. It's so, God, I can't stress enough. It's so much harder in the portal era to do this, to hold on to these kids.
Yeah. I mean, because again, the opportunities that people are out there offering are ubiquitous when you're this talented and then you're not playing. I do think that Freeze 4 is secure in what they feel like they know that they're the heir apparent to whatever is going to happen. But I just don't know how you maintain depth. The hard thing that you have here is if you lose your depth, right? Like let's say Camden Brown doesn't play as much as he feels like he should this season. There's literally no reason for him to stay next year. Right. That like he can't see his fortunes as a receiver improving unless he sees the field this year. He's hitting the portal the minute it opens if he doesn't like the opportunities that he's gotten this season.
That's a fact. That's a 100% fact.
I think the exact same thing about Caleb Burton. If he doesn't see the field enough this year, there's no reason for him to stay in Auburn. There's none. Because how do you get more playing time and you have guys that were true freshmen that played more than you?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, right? And so he's gone. Again, Keandre Lambert-Smith is done after this year. Robert Lewis done after this year. So you're probably, if Malcolm Simmons and Bryce Kane see the field enough to burn their red shirts, they probably played enough to push Camden Brown, Caleb Burton out the door coming up after that. So you have 4 receivers that are going to be gone from that room. And then you're left with Sam Jackson and a bunch of freshmen, right, as your guys. And then you've got to figure out then, and this is why I even mentioned all of that, you have to figure out then how to convince someone from the transfer portal to come play backup to a bunch of freshmen, or you got to do this again and get more freshmen in the door that you think will take the time to sit behind your fantastic now sophomore class and be ready to take the field after that. It's a difficult thing. Marcus Davis, Coach Hugh Freeze, Derek Nix have a lot of work and a lot of calculus that they have to figure out this season to figure out how to maintain the talent in this wide receiver room.
Agreed. It's not going to be an easy job, but I don't think you need to go out and win 9 games to prove that you're headed the right direction. You won 6, In my book, you need to win one more. You need to be competitive in a lot of these other games. And if you can steal one, nobody expects you to win. That's why I said, look, I'll take the Georgia win. If I'm an Auburn fan, I'm taking the Georgia win because there's no way you beat Georgia by accident right now with the talent gap that exists. Right? If you beat Georgia, you out-efforted them, you out-coached them. I'm talking about you beat Georgia at Georgia, you out-coach. Like, it's clear things are headed the right direction. And if you're Hugh Freeze, you get to hang on your cap like that you went into Athens in year 2 and beat Kirby Smart.
Right.
The guy has 2 national titles in the last 3 years. Hang that in your cap and then tell your next batch of recruits, look what we're doing, man. You can go there and sit, or you can come here and be part of cementing your own legacy as one of the best to ever do it on the Plains.
Right.
Offensively, the bar is low. Right? You got 2 3,000-yard passers in the whole history of the program. Right? You got a Heisman. You got 2 quarterback Heismans, 50 years apart.
Right.
But ultimately, there's opportunity here to kind of blaze your own trail. And they can't offer that really at Alabama. It's a lot of, and they don't even have the Saban effect to lean on anymore. Nobody's scared of Pac-10 DeBoer.
Yeah, he's got to prove it right now.
He's got a lot to prove. Nobody's going to be scared of that. Tuscaloosa is a lot less scary these days without Saban on the other side of the sidelines. They've been the University of Nick Saban for a while. If you're Freeze and you can't get Georgia, but you can go into Tuscaloosa and get a win, again, you're not doing that by accident. It may be easier, but you're not doing that by accident. I don't think there's any scenario where Auburn wins that game, and it's not clear that they're trending the right direction.
Yeah.
So you got all those guys hyped to come back the next year when you get Georgia and Bama at home.
Yep.
And continue to build on what they started here. Right? So you win that game, and the money starts to flow in from the boosters, and NIL is more robust, and you have even more to offer, and you're enriching kids' lives. You got this thing trended the right direction. Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman, and these kids that they brought in are going to be the core of that.
That's what he sold them on. They're the core of the rebuild, and you've got to prove to them that you're going to make good on that, or you got a lot of work to do in the offseason.
Yeah. So that's the way I'm looking at it right now. I think, hey, at the end of the day, they'll do what they need to do. They'll do what they need to do. But, you've got to put proof of concept on the field. They're going to try it, and we'll see if it works.
We will definitely see. All right, we're going to take a couple of more of you all's comments before we get out of here. Oda Smith with a super chat saying, actually, Riddick started it, in my opinion. With he means DeMarcus Riddick when he made his flip over from I think it was Georgia that he was initially talking about going to, and they won that recruiting battle. He definitely was one of the catalysts of okay, maybe this is a trending in the right direction for that class.
DeMarcus is still one of my more underrated players in this class.
I liked what I saw from him in A-Day.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I think that not enough people are talking about this kid's talents, and he has a chance to do really well at Auburn.
Absolutely. He gets overlooked, I think, because the wide receiver was so much more of a, gosh, we need somebody. And the linebackers performed above what the expectations were last year. But DeMarcus Riddick, I think, has the opportunity to really be an impact player off the edge next season. All right. Our guy Woolby out here says, might need to have a fireside chat where the freshmen burn their red shirts in the interview.
Yeah, a little symbolic burning of the red shirts. Yeah, mid-season fireside. As soon as those red shirts are done, they'll come to the fireside and burn them. I like it. I love it.
Like it a lot. Changing gears here, or switching gears here, a little basketball. There's been quite a bit of talk about Aiden. I have not seen this Bama Online interview that apparently he said more ridiculous things in. But there have been talks in the chat about Aiden saying some wild things in that interview that I maybe will give an ear to, or at least look at the quotes from. But anyway, Chris Causey says, do y'all see Aiden getting along with Mustache McGee?
I don't see Aiden getting along with nobody. He doing all that talking to Bama Online. He should have talked to his coaches before he left.
Yeah, I listen, man. I'll say this definitively again. I think Aiden's a very talented young man. I think it's too early to say he's a bust, but I wish nothing but bad things for that man's basketball career at Bama. I can't root for you. You don't get that treatment from me.
Yeah, that's
You
fair.
absolutely. I want you to go 0 of 30 in the 2 games that you play Auburn next year. I want you to miss crucial free throws if it's a close game. I want you to blow layups. I want you to have 5 turnovers and only 1 assist. I want everything bad to happen to you while you're playing in that uniform, man. And then maybe you'll transfer again somewhere else and play well so that you can make it to the NBA. But I don't want you being successful because of the way you exited and where you left. I don't have nothing nice to say for you, about you. None of that. I just don't.
That's fair.
And that's the nature of this rivalry. I'm an Auburn fan. You play for the enemy. Nothing but bad things for you, young man. And then when you go to the NBA,
for you.
When you go to the NBA, maybe you can, live off of your high school hype and still make it the way the last 5-star that fizzled out at Bama did with JD Davidson. I don't really care. But yeah. Let's see. Super chat here from Forever Bankroll says Pearl needs to go full prime and post a comp of Aiden bricking them threes. Caption: Lord have mercy.
Look, man, I'm with you, Ike. Look, I don't think that he is. It's too early to say that he's a bust, but it is plenty early enough to say I don't care about you anymore.
Yeah,
look, I don't think that if some of the things that were reported were true, he wasn't here long enough to get that special treatment from Auburn fans. He's not, and you definitely can't go to Alabama and call yourself a Tiger for life.
Yeah,
like you're just not. Like you're not getting the Bo treatment. People are done with you, and on your way out the door, you didn't handle yourself with class and decorum.
Yep,
allegedly.
I mean, all these statements that he's made in the media seem
kind
to
of back up.
Yeah,
kind of back up what we maybe heard about how he exited. So I don't know.
Yeah, so whatever for that kid, man. Let's get out of here, man. We've had plenty of time to talk about this stuff. Definitely want to continue to hear you all's thoughts. Mike G, tell the people about all the great stuff they can be doing.
Man, you guys know what it is. Sign up for that Patreon membership. $5.99 a month will get you there. You can also give the gift of the War Report by hitting that gifted membership button. Had a few of these given away every single live stream that's happening. Check us out on podcasts, Auburn Express, Uptempo, College Loop, and Just a Sec. Want to give another shout out to show sponsor, the Birmingham Rage Room. They're in Opelika and in Birmingham. 510 2nd Ave, Opelika, Alabama. If you're in Opelika, in Birmingham, 2616 7th Ave South. Look, get that rage out. Just do it constructively and go break somebody else's stuff. When football's on, break somebody else's stuff.
We're going to see if we can get some Aiden posters or something at the Rage Room.
Yes, the guy who owns it is petty enough to do that, certainly. Definitely want to give another shout out to show sponsor Manscaped, manscaped.com, guys. Use code REPORT to get 24% off plus free shipping. Take care of the boys this summer. It's going to be hot. I'm back in the South, so humidity is a thing again, and Manscaped will help you stay clean and dry down there. Also, Bet.us, 24-hour issued payouts, 125% sign-up bonus, 24 hours of customer service. Get your baseball parlays in. It's baseball season.
Yes, indeed. Before you all get out of here, make sure that you have done the necessary by sharing this video. Make sure you go ahead and hit that thumbs up button before you get out of here and like the video. Follow us on social media at The War Report on Instagram, Twitter, TW Report on TikTok. We are out of here the remainder of the week. Going to try to get you some more film. Going to try to get you a great interview and more morning drop stuff, all that great stuff, man.
Yeah.
But we're out of here until the next time. And as always, War Eagle, we're out of here. Peace.